Broadcasting from the Blanchistan Centre. This is Phoenix FM.
The internet is a communications tool used the world over where people can come together to bitch about movies and share pornography with one another.
According to the Nerd Index, you should be upside down in a junior high toilet around the clock.
This is Time goes in, time goes out. Never miscommunication.
It's over 9,000!
My name is Foxy.
The balls are in there.
Don't face me, bro! It's a trap! I'm a fire in my labor! Time to Hey, Charlie, wake up! Oh, God, oh, man!
Hello, and welcome to this week's edition of the Nerd to Know Based Show, airing on Phoenix 92.5 FM and all those other wonderful places such as Spotify, YouTube, and SoundCloud, and our own website. I am Cian, and with me this week is Dara. Dara, how are you doing?
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. I'm still waiting on that apology from Section 31 about the Irish representation.
Yeah,
but
it's really bad.
Considering how eviscerated it was by the internet at large, I think I'll let this one pass.
Well, for anyone who hasn't checked out our YouTube channel, please go over to Nerd to Know Media on YouTube. And you can actually leave a comment. Now, we have a section at the end of the show, which is your comments. And I think that, yeah, a lot of people do not like Section 31. Now, look, I didn't even know what that was until I listened to the show. And then I saw all the comments coming in. I was like, oh, people are not pleased. So we will get back to that because there's it's like that bit from The Simpsons, and there'll be plenty more hate on Section 31.
What's that from? Is that from a particular reference, or?
Yeah. So do you remember when they did we know all your secrets?
More Homer Simpson.
But there'll be plenty more of Homer Simpson.
Yeah. No. I think enough aural ink has been spilt over that one. I won't dwell on that. But sure, let's jump into our kind of major topic this week.
There's been a lot this week.
Oh yeah, well, I have the Fantastic Four. Is there something I missed?
Yeah, so Marvel, it seems they're doing a couple of Hail Marys here to try and drum up interest, particularly around some of the poorly performing movies that's come out, some of the shows. So it really is a tale of two cities. It's and we will talk about them. Obviously, there's Captain America, which we'll get into, but then there's this Fantastic Four thing. Now, here's a fun fact. In every decade, there has been a Fantastic Four movie over the past 4 decades. Isn't that wild?
Let me think. There was Fan Four Stick.
Yes.
There was the two, we were talking about this, me and my wife the other night, the two Tim Story ones, I think was the director.
Yes.
And so wait, what were the ones apart from that then?
And then there's the Roger Corman one, which everyone forgets about.
Was that the 90s?
That was the 90s, yeah.
It doesn't look like the 90s.
No, it does. It's the one that was
the early 70s.
Yeah, well, the reason there's a great documentary. I haven't got it in front of me, so I cannot remember the title, but just search Fantastic Four documentary. And basically, that movie was made to keep the rights.
Yes.
But nobody...
This is internet legend, yes.
It is, and the documentary is actually fantastic. Pun intended. But it used to be on Amazon Prime as well, so it might still be. It's worth
the Roger Corman one,
Yes.
Yeah.
So basically, what happened was everyone didn't realize that's what it was for, so they earnestly made this movie. And I've never actually watched the movie, but I don't want to.
I've only seen reviews of the movie in the grand YouTube tradition of making content that's making fun of things, of which we're totally not guilty of.
But no, I would recommend it.
So I've seen bits and pieces, but no, I haven't. I know it sort of exists in bootleg form, the same way the Star Wars Holiday Special did, being shared around the conventions and all that.
Yeah, but I would say just buy the documentary if you can, and it's totally worth watching because it sheds light on something that you didn't even it's that bit of Hollywood where you're no way that actually exists. And
Yeah.
then it's like, okay, yeah, it does, and we made a lot of fun of the Lord of the Rings, Helm's Deep, whatever it's called. I can't remember. It's so possible I can't remember the name of it. But that was like very clearly made to
Oh,
hold
the
on to the
War for
rights.
Hiram.
War or Hiram, that's it, yeah. Was made to hold on to the rights, like, and it was kind of like, oh, we were speculating that that was the case, and then it turns out it was confirmed. But like,
Yeah.
it's just so funny that like this Fantastic Four thing was like the first
Yeah.
big case of that. It's like the landmark case. But yeah, so the past 4 decades, there has been a Fantastic Four movie,
That's kind of mad to think about.
and
Like,
none of them have. Well, no, I mean, one of them is pretty good, but the rest of them not so much.
which one is the one? I'm curious to see what your take is.
I think generally, so the campier ones. I think if you kind of mix the two, you get a pretty decent movie. But the first one is way stronger than the second one.
Are you talking about the 2000s ones?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a funny one. I'm actually I apologize there. I actually am quite fond of the first of the sort of, for lack of a better term, Jessica Alba ones.
Yeah, that's the one I'm
It's a
talking about.
super movie that's quite laid back. It's quite easygoing.
It's very
The
campy and
like
60s, but also
yeah,
not really. Yeah.
yeah, it's definitely like a 2000s movie, but like it's funny when they add in the Silver Surfer in the second one and they try and make it actiony. It sort of feels like they're not playing to their strengths. Like the best bit of the second one, I think, is when there's a bit where the Human Torch and the Thing are in a bar in England
Mm,
talking about what they would do if they had 5 minutes to live on the world. I like that kind of stuff. That's nice.
it
I
is.
like that because like my brother collected Fantastic Four comics, and they were always at their best when they were doing something weird and sciency, or they were doing something offbeat, like trying to find heaven or something like that.
That
They
see that.
don't work as well as Avengers characters, you know?
Yeah, because they never were. Like as you said, like I think the problem with like it's the superhero genre is that not everyone can be a superhero in the same way. Like just because they have superpowers doesn't mean that they go and do the same thing. For
Yeah.
example, like with like you said it right, like the best way to interact with Fantastic Four is when you go to the Baxter building and you're like, "Hey, I need something."
Yeah,
And then
exactly. And like it's funny, we were talking about this off the air before we started recording. But I'm collecting this very good series of Penguin collected 60s Marvel comics. So I've done
Mm,
like the Spider-Man, the Avengers, the X-Men. And the thing you realize very quickly is the Fantastic Four were the first. Is the Silver Age the 60s? I
yeah.
get Silver Age and Golden Age confused.
So
Anyway,
the Golden Age was like World War Two.
I thought so. So Silver Age, yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, the Fantastic Four were the first of that new wave of Marvel characters. And when you read, like, for example, Spider-Man 1, the first thing he does is he tries to join the Fantastic Four
Yes.
and the Avengers. The Thing pops up in Avengers 1, and like the X-Men, Human Torch pops up there. And when you read the comics, you realize that all the Marvel universe that we know were leaning on the success of the Fantastic Four in the same way that now the MCU is leaning on the success of the Avengers.
Yes.
And so they're integral to everything, but they were also the first. So they don't really translate to the new modern superhero thing as fluently, you know?
Well, that's why they're called Marvel's first family.
Yeah,
It's like, and it kind of brings us back to this new movie. This new movie is taking place in an alternate 60s, right? And
right.
something's going to happen that they're obviously going to jump somewhere, or they're going to hit something, or there's going to be some reset in some way that they get juggled
A bit
into.
like the way the Sentry got deleted from Marvel canon,
Yeah, exactly.
something. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Exactly. This
I
could,
was wondering, 'cause I couldn't tell if it was like an alternate universe or like if this was the 60s in Marvel, but they just never talked about it, you know?
no, it's an alternate universe.
Okay, I was hoping it'd be okay. Well, I'm sure they'll find a way to make it
But
work.
there was an interesting scene actually that I wish they kept in. I only saw it the other day. It was in No Way Home, and it was Tobey Maguire when he went back. It's like literally a scene from Spider-Man 2.
Right.
But he's looking at the newsstand, and it mentions Tony Stark, and it's not Robert Downey Jr., it's someone else.
Okay.
There's a few, and then it mentions Spider Girl, Spider Gwen, and
When
a
was
few
this in the
others.
movie? I don't remember this.
It wasn't in the movie. It's a delete scene,
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
and I'm like, oh, that would have been actually really cool to have in. Now it would have
Right.
been more messy, but it would have been like
Yeah.
this stuff is actually causing ripples.
Mm.
Like it's weird because they've messed this up so badly in the movies that like they almost get there. Like
What do you mean
when
the multiversal
the
stuff?
multiversal stuff.
Well, then it'd
Like
be cool if you found out that all the obviously Loki kind of has the monopoly on it, but it'd be cool if all this multiversal messiness was caused by the Fantastic Four in the 60s, and this movie puts a pin in it and resolves it,
see, I
like,
think that
and
yeah, I think that's what's going to happen. Like it's going to resolve itself fully when they go to Battle World.
Mm,
Like Sequel Wars, that's the plot of Sequel Wars, right?
yeah.
But that's when it's going to resolve itself properly. And I do think this would be a big piece of that pie where they're like, okay, we need to get the setup, we have to do X, Y, and Z to get there. And I think this is what's going to happen. But like it has to be.
Yeah.
There's no other way. Like this movie doesn't make any sense otherwise. It's kind of like the way the X-Men are just hanging out with Monica Rambeau. It's like that's a bit weird. You have
Well,
to
they're in that's another alternate universe, isn't it?
but
Like,
that's what I'm saying. Like they have to find a way to kind of square their circle. And
yeah.
they did it with Deadpool and Wolverine, which
Mm,
the whole point of that movie was to square that circle, and they
yeah.
did. Um, so we will just have to kind of wait and see. But a lot of people are like interested with this. I think the look of it's pretty cool.
It's
The cat,
definitely the first movie that has taken WandaVision's creative success and sort of translated that in. Like, yeah.
yeah, it's the first kind of movie since Deadpool and Wolverine that looks like some effort was put in. They're not just been like, oh, look, it's fine. They're like,
Well,
no,
let's not get too ahead of ourselves. Like, no Marvel movie has come out since Wolverine and Deadpool, and Captain America's only dropping this week. Like,
no. What I'm saying is like a lot of the movies were just very paid by the numbers.
oh, I
Cap
see. Okay,
Captain
okay.
Marvel 2, which I didn't, or the Marvels, which I didn't hate. Actually, I liked a lot more than I was expecting to like.
I really liked that one.
I
Yeah,
liked it too. I didn't really get the hate for it, but it looked very boring. It looked very, very drab. The Eternals, even though I liked the Eternals, was still very drab.
mm,
They're kind of been like, well, look, we're a comic book. We can shoot this differently. It doesn't have to be the same
yeah.
way. And I think that's really cool. So the actual look of it, the
Oh, you're talking
so
purely visually.
no, I mean in general, like the look of
Okay,
it, the aesthetic, the setting,
right.
the actually playing with the factor in a comic book movie is
Mm,
something that we haven't really seen, as you said correctly, since WandaVision, where they're jumping through different time and it looks like it's from here or feels like it's from here. And it's a really kind of cool left turn because like what I would have hated, and not hated, but what I would have really disliked, one because we've seen it, and two because it doesn't work, is Fan Four Stick again, where it's based in the modern time
mm,
and it's very boring and it's very dry and it's very serious. Or even the earlier 2000 movies, which, were of its time, but just wouldn't work in a modern time.
yeah,
So I think they're like, right, look, we know this is going to be difficult to do. They're in the 60s.
yeah.
Let's just go with it.
I mean, look, a lot of
It's
people have
really good.
said, and I take no credit for this comparison, but a lot of people have said that The Incredibles is the best Fantastic Four movie
Oh yeah, easy.
because it puts the family
Easy.
stuff first, and the superhero stuff is just sort of a means to an end. Like,
Yeah, like we even saw that with The Incredibles 2, which was very poor in
I
comparison.
actually quite like Incredibles too.
I don't hate it either, but it was very poor in comparison. Like the first
That,
one is the first
that
one is
doesn't
so solid. Hmm?
like my daughter watched the two at once, and she thought they were both equally good. So
Oh, that's fair. That's fair. But I mean, from a storytelling perspective, like why that movie kind of wasn't as good as the first one for a lot of people is because it moved away from that family first approach,
okay.
you know? Um, but another thing that comes out of this is, well, Doctor Doom. Actually, there's two things that come out of this. One, Doctor Doom,
Hmm.
right? He's gonna have to show up at some point.
Well, I mean, Avengers movie, presumably.
Well, no, I mean they have to set him up. They only have three movies to get there. Four
Yeah,
maybe.
but I'm talking purely like I would have loved if they had introduced him either in a Black Panther movie or a Doctor Strange movie, because
Yeah,
in both of those cases he would have been kind of a chaotic neutral.
yeah,
But I suspect it's going to be more in the realm of post-credit things and that
it
kind of
is. Yeah,
stuff.
so that I would say that's probably a safe bet. We'll either get post credit at the end of Captain America, or we'll get it during the Thunderbolts. But there will be some.
I wouldn't say Thunderbolts unless they allude to something going on in Latveria because they're all a bit Black Ops.
Yeah, I don't know. Look,
I
here, I don't think it will be connected to the movie. That's the thing. I think it will be they'll set it up outside of Fantastic Four, but he will
Yeah,
be mentioned.
because both the Captain America and the Thunderbolts are both sort of vaguely dealing with sort of international, maybe less Thunderbolts 'cause that looks goofy, but certainly the Captain America is sort of dealing in international espionage and stuff.
Yes.
So I suspect you'll probably get a Latveria reference thrown in there or something like that, you know?
Yeah, you probably will. But another thing that some people are talking about, and I just want to kind of quash now.
Mm.
Everyone's like, "Why is Galactus so small?" It's like he can shrink. It just shows you they didn't. No one read the comics.
Yeah. Can
He
I
can.
actually, before we get into Galactus, because my brother is in the States and he saw the trailer before I did. So he basically was wondering why go straight to Galactus, and he sort of pointed out, "Oh right, Doctor Doom has to be saved up," and then he ran down a list of all the sort of rogues gallery from Fantastic Four that has already been used.
Yeah.
So Ronan Accuser and the Kree in general, the
Yep.
Skrulls in general, Kang,
Yep.
Ego, Adam
Yep.
Warlock, and all them. Black Panther in general, Namor in general,
Yep.
and Agatha and all them. So, like, apart from the likes of Mole Man and Diablo, like even Mephisto would be saved for like a Ghost Rider movie, like or
Yeah.
Dragon or something. There's not many left
Yeah.
who are pure
They,
Fantastic Four baddies, you know?
yeah. They haven't really They haven't really
Not
said.
that their road gallery is stellar. It includes Paste Pot Pete, but you know what I mean, like you
No, I know
know.
what you mean. Like it's one of the things where you're like, oh, you only have so many bullets in that gun. It's it's you've used the best stuff already, so you kind of have to go with Galactus. Now, I'm not really too annoyed about that. I mean, it depends how they do it. Like Galactus showing up, he was a cloud last time, and that was very silly. So at least he's not a cloud this time, which is good. But I do think if they use it well. And I would look. What's probably going to happen is that world's going to be destroyed, and they'll
I was
just.
gonna say
And I think that's what's going to
it
happen.
would be a good get out of jail free if they had to hop into the MCU. Plus, we still haven't had the resolution of that cliffhanger from the Eternals. So just be
Or we still haven't had the resolution from Doctor Strange 2, where he's jumping in to stop incursions.
yeah, but that's you can imagine that happening in the background.
Yeah, but
This
here, what if one of the incursions is the Fantastic Four jumping into the MCU?
it's possible. I mean, they are in the unfortunately named Illuminati together.
Yeah,
But yeah, I mean, I think I don't know when I at the end of the Eternals when a big red man in the sky said we are judging humanity and then zipped off. I kind of thought, oh, that sounds urgent.
well,
Could we
a- at
could we
least
follow that up, please?
at least in Captain America 4, they are going to talk about the Titan that just happens to be in the sea.
Okay, that didn't bother me as much personally
No, I
because
know, but
like
it's the first
weird
time they
stuff
actually.
happens all over the place in our world, but it'd be nice to get some follow up, you know.
Yeah, I know, but no one has mentioned it once. It's like you
Yeah.
think of something like when an earthquake or something happens in a far off part of the world, people are like, that earthquake was pretty crazy, wasn't it? Even here in Ireland, when that storm happened, I was in Germany and people were talking about it. Can you imagine if an alien Titan the size of New York was just in the sea? I think someone
I
would be
mean,
like,
I've said it before on this show. It's the I always go back to that quote from I think it was like Marvel crossovers or something, where like Brie, what's her name, the
Brie
Captain
Larson.
Marvel real name, not Brie Larson, but the character Carol Danvers. They're playing snooker. She's playing snooker with She-Hulk and goes, "Why is no one looking at us?" And She-Hulk goes, "This is New York, where Galactus can ruin your picnic." So that doesn't bother me in that respect now that so much stuff has gone on in the MCU. But
Yeah.
yes, it would be nice to get some acknowledgement of it, like, you know.
And I think we are like, I mean, look, being a Marvel fan has been kind of difficult, but then again, being a Star Wars fan is difficult.
Yeah.
Fandoms go through these ebbs and flows.
Yeah.
It's just I think now they're kind of like trying to course correct heavily. That brings us into Captain America 4, right?
Well, but before we exit the Fantastic Four, did you have any? We haven't specifically talked about the trailer. Was there anything about the trailer that you found like appealing or off-putting or anything
Yeah,
like that?
I want to watch it.
Right.
That's the truth. I mean, I was like, I like the Fantastic Four. I love Jack Kirby. I really, really do. I'm a huge fan. Um, but I was kind of like apprehensive about the Fantastic Four because it's always kind of bad.
Hmm.
I don't think this will be bad. I think this will actually be very, very good. Um, but now I actually want to watch it. I'm actually like properly in to be like, okay, let's go.
Yeah, Pedro Pascal seems to be bringing his Wonder Woman 2 charm to this.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you take him out of modern time and do his hair a little bit differently and change the camera,
Yeah, yeah,
he
yeah.
kind of just falls into that.
I like that they've I mean I'm sure some people will complain about how the thing looks, but I really like that actor from The Bear and obviously like kind of like sorry for
Yeah,
not
look,
having their name. Eddie from Stranger Things and all that. They seem to be well cast. And actually, that's something all the Fantastic Four movies have got right. They've never had a bad cast.
no, I mean,
Four
even
stick.
even
Yeah.
Fantastic Four, Four Stick was actually cast really well as well.
Yeah. I mean, it had a lot of really good actors who didn't quite mesh, but they were still good actors.
Yeah,
Like, you know,
it wasn't
the only
their
actor I
it
don't
wasn't
know
their fault. They were given
who's
nothing
the
to
actor
do.
playing the Invisible Woman, but she still fits it, you know?
Yeah, her wig wasn't working very well though.
Oh, the from Fan Four Stick, yeah.
Yeah,
Well, that was handy because then you could tell where the reshoots were. Like,
yeah, that's true. That's true. But yeah, look, so I'm cautiously optimistic.
hmm. I like the little robot. I like you said, the weird thing about Galactus being a cloud, I get why they did it. It's kind of like the Ultimates where it was just a big fleet of ships.
Yeah,
But the fact that they have a Rocky 4 style robot shamelessly in their trailer is a sign of
Rocky Tree,
confidence.
Rocky Tree,
You know?
a Rocky Tree style.
Oh no, it's Rocky 4. It's the one where they go to Russia. I know my Rocky movies. You're not going to call me on this.
No, but that was introduced in Rocky Tree.
It was not. No, it
It
was
was.
Okay, I'm gonna call my wife in a minute, and we're gonna sort this out. But anyway, that
Okay.
robot.
Okay. I could be wrong,
Yeah,
but I was.
movie does Rocky buy his son a robot? Thank you.
Ah,
You can have Star Wars. Rocky's in our domain.
okay, okay. I give up. You guys are right. I yield. I yield.
Anyway, but yes, I am cautiously optimistic about the Fantastic Four as well.
Okay, look. Want to switch gears and talk about
Captain
Captain
America.
America 4, right? So look, we're about a week out.
Mm.
When we tape next, the movie will have been out. I probably will have seen it.
I probably will have not, since I've still not seen Sonic 3.
Oh, you're missing out. Well, I mean, for anyone
I've
that
got a
doesn't
story
know,
about that. But anyway, go on.
for anyone that doesn't know, we had an Air to Know Media day out that Keen organized and didn't show up for to see Sonic 3.
The baby didn't go to bed until 7 a.m. Blame him.
It's okay. It's still pretty funny. Okay, look, I think this movie will bomb spectacularly, right?
Really?
Yeah, I think
Harrison Ford in it.
yeah, I mean, Indiana Jones bombed spectacularly.
Yeah, but Indiana Jones was starting on a weak foot because the last one was the Alien one.
But this
Like,
is also starting on a week foot. Like, look, I like Sam Wilson as Falcon. Um, as Cap, his run wasn't great in the comics, but they built up to it. With this,
Mm.
they didn't. They haven't. I watched a good video where they're like, they haven't actually established why he wants to be Captain America. He's just kind of there. It seems like everyone else around him has a motivating factor, and he's just kind of, well, I'm Captain America now. You know,
I don't fully agree. I think the Falcon and Winter Soldier show. I rewatched it recently enough. I think it does a good job of setting up why he's reluctant and why he takes on the mantle.
it does. But listen to me for a second, right? I think
I'll stump.
if Bucky had have gotten it first, I think that would have been a more natural leaning point for Marvel in general because Bucky is very similar to Steve Rogers. I mean, they're from the same time period. They're
Mm.
both literally super soldiers, and he is still kind of dealing with a lot of the trauma of being, you know, a super soldier assassin, much like Steve was dealing with the trauma of being frozen in ice and everyone he knows being killed around him.
Mm.
So I think, and even in the comics as well, like he is a natural next step, and that's probably why, like, Sam Wilson doesn't feel like Captain America. He does not yet. I mean, this movie could change it, which is unfortunate because I think for a lot of people, they're of that opinion. I mean, like, even in Disney, right? I'm just going to bring this back to in Paris. They have the Avengers campus, and Sam Wilson's walking around as Captain America. Nobody cares. They've brought out Steve Rogers, and everyone's like, "Oh my God, Captain America!" You know, it's a hard thing to do, and I respect that they made the choice, and it can work. I wish Sam Wilson was going in like as the Falcon. He was cool. You know, he had like Red Wing. He had some cool tech. The wings were great. The way he was used, he was always used as a supporting character. He was never used as like a main character. So trying to get him now as a main character is a tough sell for a lot of people who have been like, "Oh, you're not the main character," and that's one of the biggest issues I found with it. So while watching this movie, I'll let you come in a second. Well, watching this movie, there's two things that's been promised. There's been promised that like we're going to see some cool action scenes. It's going to be like the Winter Soldier, which is the way they're portraying it to be, which is very smart. But I think what will kill this movie, and mark my words on this, this will kill this movie. They are setting up that the Red Hulk is a big part of this film, and I have heard that he's in it for 5 minutes.
I
If
personally, I could not care less about the Red Hulk, but
no,
I
I
did
know,
notice
King, I
it a
know,
lot.
but this is how they are promoting the movie.
Mm.
And if he's in the movie for 5 minutes, people will not go see it. Anyway, go on. They're my thoughts.
They'll have, but they'll have to see it to find out if he's in it. It's like Batman versus Superman, you know?
Well, it's word of mouth. I mean, like if you're reading on Reddit or whatever, and you're like, "Oh, he's only in the movie for 5 minutes." Okay, I'll wait for Disney, wait for it to come out on Disney Plus, which is what happened with the Marvels, where people are like, "Oh, the X-Men bit was great," and then it was on YouTube within 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So, look, it could be really good. I'm not making a comment on if the movie's good or not because I haven't seen it. We'll obviously do a review when we see it, but
Mm.
my prediction is if he's only in it for 5 minutes, this movie will fail spectacularly. Um, but as far as like predictions in what could happen in the movie, ironically, I think we could actually see Sam Wilson become Captain America, like properly, actually, like embody what Captain America is, how he's adjusted to losing his best friend, making up with one of his enemies, and now taking on this role in, you know,
Mm.
a General Ross presidency, which I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
Jonathan Ross, not Jonathan Ross, President Ross isn't a good guy. He's actually quite a bad guy.
Mm.
And look, there's lots of questions that I want to see answered, but I just had to call it out straight away.
Okay, well, I mean, you can clip this for YouTube and then, like, claim bragging rights if that's how it goes down next week. What I would say, just to the point about Sam Wilson versus Bucky being the next Captain America, I do have the Ed Brubaker run where he became Captain America. And I think, while I would have liked to have seen what it would have been like if the MCU's Bucky was Captain America, I think they've been very smart to not have him and the US agent in Marvel at the same time
Yeah,
because
they do
the
the same thing.
contrast, like the contrast wouldn't work if
Yeah,
you had, because like Bucky's Captain America uses guns and stuff. So like I'm sure they could, but I don't think it would have been as dynamic. And as for like kind of Falcon himself, like Captain America's kind of strength as Steve Rogers was that he was always the man out of time. And what I'm hoping they'll lean into, and the show did this too, is that, he has a background not just as a soldier, but as a counselor. So
yeah,
what I'm looking forward to seeing is if his point of view makes him a different Captain America, both in how he approaches things and in how people visualize him. We haven't really gotten a sense of that from Falcon and Winter Soldier yet.
see,
But
that's
I think, yeah. Go
See,
on.
that's what I'm hoping for. That's exactly
Yeah.
and I think we'll see that. My
Yeah.
fear is we look, this movie could be really, really good.
Mm,
However, if it fails, what's going to happen is because of where Marvel are now, where they're like, oh, we need to start making money back on these things.
mm.
If no matter how good this movie is, if it doesn't succeed, it's over for. I would say it's over for Sam Wilson as Captain America. I think you'll either see Bucky back as Captain America, like get his run, or you'll see Steve Rogers back, and it's just like
Yeah,
okay,
I agree and I disagree though, because Marvel's very solid. Like, let's say because of the Marvel's financial dip, which I don't fully put on the merits of the film itself. It was coming out of the writer's strike and all that, actor strike, all that kind of stuff. Wasn't really promoted. But if they never make a Captain Marvel movie again, we could still see plenty of Captain Marvel and of Miss Marvel and of the Monica Rambeau
mm,
in other things. That is kind of
absolutely,
the strength of the MCU.
yeah,
Like the Hulk hasn't had a movie in a decade and a half, and he's one of the major players in the
yeah, but
MCU.
that's different. You can't because of rights.
Yes, I know, but what I'm saying is, if this movie didn't make money, I don't think it will be the end of the Sam Wilson Captain America. I think he'd just be integrated as a player in ensemble things or something like that.
Yeah, but it's like Captain America is one of the pillars of the MCU. Like making Captain America, like they should have just called this Sam Wilson or Cap or something, something to differentiate. Like I think Captain America and the Winter Soldier or the Falcon and the Winter Soldier was a great idea for a movie. Like the
Yeah,
name is
but
actually
see, if you don't call him Captain America, you are making him lesser than Steve
no,
Rogers.
no. See, that's what I'm saying.
You have to let him have it.
No, but that's what I'm getting at. Like it's they have to walk this balance, right? Where
Mm,
tying it to Steve Rogers is a strength and a weakness
mm.
because if they had a set a new trilogy up where it was Captain America, comma Falcon or something, you have that, but like kind of what they're doing with Spider-Man, where they had No Way Home, Far From
It's
Home.
called Brave New World.
Yeah, but it's still called Captain America. And once you
Yeah.
have Captain America there, or Captain America 4, they shouldn't have called it Captain America 4. They should just called it Brave New
I
World
Yeah, but if
Captain
the
America.
movie's good, it won't, and people like it. I don't think no one calls it Captain America Civil War. They call it Civil War.
I know, but it's just it's an optics thing. It's like you're create. Do you ever hear the joke or the analogy where you're like, don't describe a better movie in a worse movie because then you just think about the better movie.
That
That's
hurt my
kind
head.
Yeah,
Right.
that's kind of what like if this movie is bad, there will be so many things to point at as to why it failed rather than
Right.
it's like it's been set up to fail almost. No
Mm.
matter how, like this movie could be unbelievable, and I do think it will be good. I'm gonna go on record and say this movie's gonna be pretty good, right? If not great. But it's been set up to fail almost at every single point that I'm worried about it. And ironically, all the ways I'm not worried about Fantastic Four because they're not doing that. They're just letting Fantastic Four
I
be.
think you and I are approaching this differently. I don't
Maybe, yeah.
care how much money it makes as long as it's good. Whereas
Yeah,
you're looking at the box office and the long-term impact on the MCU. And
the only reason why is because of how much they've lost and how desperately struggling Disney actually are, and it needs to
I
make money.
think the don't get me wrong, it's definitely not peak culture, but I think it would take something much bigger than this to sink the MCU.
Yeah, no, I don't think it will. I just it's like
look how many times DC ran their head into the wall before they rebooted themselves. Marvel's not in that place.
no, and I'm not saying that they are, but they are in a rebuilding phase.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
They're like, okay, we need to like they're Uber tweaking, if that makes sense. Or
Yeah,
they're
yeah,
like, okay, what works? What actually works? Okay, that doesn't work. Get rid of it.
yeah.
This works.
Kind of,
Like
yeah.
the whole Wolverine Deadpool movie, I think has, the joke where he's like, oh, he's gonna make him do it till he's 90. That's actually going to happen. There is no more Wolverine. It's just going to be Hugh Jackman because it works so well. That came out 2 weeks ago, where they're going to, and there's going to be more team ups and stuff like that. Like it's the downside of this is a lot of the merit, like creativity stuff, that's going to go out the window. They just want to make bank now, and that could be great, but if it doesn't work, it's not going to work. And my fear is, even if this movie is incredible, it better make money. But and actually, to add to that, every minute of this movie costs like $3 million.
How do you know that?
That's what, because they've reshot it so many times.
Oh, I see. Oh, I see. So it could be like a hodgepodge type. What is the leader still the bad guy? Or has
Uh,
that been lost to the sands of time?
I don't know who's he been played by?
Well, he was going to be played by the guy from the
Right.
Hulk, the Edward Norton one originally.
No, no, no. He's
So,
not.
so he's been Star Wars 9 Matt Smith.
Yeah, no.
Oh, it's the
The bad
guy
guy now
from
is a new
Breaking
character.
Bad.
The new
Yeah.
character now is played by the guy from Breaking Bad.
Yeah, yeah. It's an amazing name, but
I can't say it.
Zito or something like that.
I gotta
Although,
say, you either call him Grand Moff Gideon or guy from Breaking Bad. So
yeah,
take your pick. But yeah, no, like that's the bad guy now, which is a weird take.
yeah, Giancarlo Esposito. Yeah,
That's it. That's it. Look, it's they and it. I feel bad because they've set this movie up to fail, so it really has to be good and has to tick all the boxes to make its money back. Which, I mean, at $3 million a minute is a big task, and they've reshot and like there's depending on who you believe and where you get your sources from, they're still editing the movie now, and we're a week out. So
they did that on Star Wars.
yeah, look how well that
That's
turned
not,
out. Look
you
how well
know.
episode 9 turned out.
No, I mean the original Star Wars.
Oh yeah, well. I'll give you that, but this sounds very much like episode 9, man.
It could be. I feel like, see, this movie, now, I could be wrong, but this movie, if it's in the sort of Winter Soldier vein, it's not going for like a crowd-pleasing, sensational moment thing. That's probably why they're leaning into the Red Hulk thing.
Yeah.
Because movies like this are more often than not lots of conversations in rooms punctuated by some motorbike chases.
Yeah.
Like, so the Red Hulk is sort of your only like
Big wow factor.
shows, yeah, the showcase moment.
Yeah.
Like, so I mean, I'm not saying they couldn't mess it up, but I'm saying this type of movie is harder to mess up than a big crowd pleasing, they fly now type movie, you know?
No, that's true. Like it's just it has a lot going against it. And I would not like to have to be in this movie or have to make this movie or have to promote this movie because it's like if it's good, doesn't matter. It has to be incredible and make serious money. And look, as much as we like Deadpool and Wolverine, and we do, um, that's kind of also been like, hey, there's still a lot of blood in this stone, you know? And now the questions will be asked, well, why didn't you make 1 billion? Deadpool and Wolverine made 1 billion, and it's like, oh, you don't really.
But like Deadpool and Wolverine, I wouldn't even count that as like a factor in the MCU's success
Oh,
because
Keen,
Dead-
this isn't my opinion. This is what's going to be said in boardrooms by these
Oh
people.
well, I see what you mean. Okay,
Like
right.
these arguments are what's going to be said in boardrooms
Right.
by people who don't care about the aesthetic of the
Well,
movie.
I don't care what the boardroom things say. As long as the movie's good, that's all I want from. I'm not really interested in the behind the scenes stuff. I just want the movie to be good
Yeah,
and for it not to kind of like, uh I suppose just a good movie at this point and to progress the MCU a little bit
yeah,
because it kind of feels like
stagnant.
the weird thing is there's actually too much stuff going on in the MCU, which is why it feels like it isn't moving. As
Yeah,
bizarre as that is, like
yeah, but here's the thing: like either way, by the end of this year, we will have like a whole new kind of
mm,
uh like big villains, big moments,
yeah,
like a big reset before we go into the Avengers run before they get to Batworld. Like
yeah.
obviously Doctor Doom, there like more news has come out saying that Doctor Doom is the Doctor Doom. Like he is in the variant. But he's probably going to be, even more like the infamous Iron Man, where it's like he's Doctor Doom who meets Tony Stark or just happens to have his face for some reason. They're actually apparently going to explain in the movie why he looks like Tony Stark. So
Oh,
they're
they have.
not so they're
Yeah.
not so they're not shying away from that. Apparently, like it's just a thing that they're actually going to talk about because I mean that's actually really
But
smart too.
see, that's actually kind of interesting in and of itself because whatever form, we don't even know who's on the Avengers roster at this
No, we
point.
don't know because it's
Like,
also
like,
all over the
like the
place.
young Avengers could be the Avengers. So I think even though I would rather a different actor play Doctor Doom, there is a sort of a degree of I can't say the word verisimilitude about the fact that the new Avengers have to defeat
The old
Iron
Avengers.
Man
Yeah.
to earn their stripes.
So
I think that could work, you know?
there's a couple of good videos online, and I would urge everybody to check them out. The script for um Kang the Conqueror series actually released. So what Avengers was supposed to be, the Kang Dynasty, that's out there. And in the movie, it actually sounded pretty cool, but like everyone dies
Right.
except for
That's
like
what I thought would happen in Infinity War.
yeah,
Yeah.
except for 5 people, right? It is like catastrophic. But it actually makes a lot of sense how they do it. So I don't think they're going to do that now. I think like certain things will be brought over to set up the Doctor Doom involvement, obviously, because it is going to be like the point of this next movie is to fundamentally break the MCU so they get to Battle World and they can reset because that's what Battle World is. It's a complete reset of everything
Well, I mean, as
through the
long as they get
Beyonder.
the likes of like Shang-Chi and all these kind of and Moon Knight and all these characters set up doing something, because it kind of feels like I was going back through the MCU recently, and like they made Ant-Man, which
Mm.
felt very disconnected from everything, and right the next movie, Ant-Man was hanging out with Hawkeye and Captain America and all that. It kind of feels like a lot of things have been kind of set up. Like I really like Shang-Chi,
Yeah, me too.
and even though Moon Knight was flawed, I liked Isaac's at it.
Yeah,
And
me
it
too.
kind of like watching the What If actually at Christmas really reminded me of like, God, there's a lot of really good stuff here. But why are they letting all these good things just sort of hover in the air? Like,
See,
why are they not pulling this together? Like,
I think they're going to, but like a lot of these misses were quite spectacular.
hmm,
I think they had a plan, just kind of didn't really go with it. There wasn't as much an editorial hand as we thought there was.
right.
And then obviously the Kang the Conqueror stuff with Jonathan Majors obviously really messed it up. Now,
Yeah.
the interesting thing is he might actually come back in some way, but we don't know how yet. And I wouldn't be shocked if they do. They are going to make this happen. They are going to make this like whole thing be a big win, but it's going to require a lot of time, a lot of investment, but also good, solid movies. So the
Yeah.
next 3 or 4 movies we have, they have to be really good. They can't just be like Captain America 4 can just exist by itself because it's small stakes, in the grand scheme of things. The Thunderbolts can also be
Can
smaller
I can
stakes.
I just interrupt you there? I'm looking forward to the Thunderbolts more than the other two movies this
Yeah,
year.
so am I. I really can't wait to see
I'm
Thunderbolts.
a huge Hawkeye fan, and I like the Captain America or no, the Winter Soldier TV show, and I like the bunch of characters they got. Sentry is also one of my favorite Marvel
Yes.
characters. I am really excited for that one. I just hope that it's not so much of a Suicide Squad knockoff that it's annoying, you know?
No, but what I think will happen there is that will give you a kind of read of where things are.
Yeah,
Because
and
because the thing of it is like that's a small stakes movie.
mm,
Even if it's like we're gonna need to save the world, it's like yeah, okay, whatever. You
yeah,
don't.
no,
You
no
know?
lasers firing into the sky on that one, please.
No, they'll just be hanging out, talking about stuff,
Yeah,
doing missions, and just kind of being like, hey, here's where we are. And that's Marvel. Like that it's not about the lasers in the sky thing. It's
yeah.
about them just talking to each other and kind of seeing where the world is. So we'll probably start getting a good idea of it there. And then once you go into Fantastic Four, that will really be more kind of like, oh, we're actually shaking things up here. And then it'll lead into the other movies. That's probably what's going to happen. But we have like 15 minutes left. So I want to talk about a game,
Again.
Kane.
Yes, yes.
So look,
So, thank you very much for following our Marvel discussion. Time for coffee.
time for coffee. So look, I've been trophy hunting. I've kind of got addicted to trophy hunting. The PlayStation had this thing where you have, I think I talked about it a couple of weeks ago, where you have to earn a certain amount of trophies to keep your level, or they reset it every year. And
And
that's,
you said that there were certain games you'd essentially buy just to get the trophy, not to play as games.
Kind of, sort of, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. I remember this. Yeah.
one Sony, that's not very cool. Although on the other hand, it's actually made me play games again, like properly. So I mean, it kind of worked, right? But there's certain if you're a trophy hunter, so trophy, the like the achievements, but you try to get as many platinums as you can. And I had one before December. Now I have 65, 67. So I've been doing it for a while. And there's certain games you can buy, as you said, Keen, which you play for 5 minutes, you get an achievement or whatever, right? But it kind of allows you to doing it that way. You see some bad ones, you see some good ones, but a lot of those trophies don't count in this mission because they need to be rare trophies. So you can't just buy a rare trophy because you're buying a common one, and a common trophy is going to be common no matter what it is. Oh, excuse me. But one of the games that actually didn't buy, it was on the PlayStation Network, was a game called Coffee Talk.
Right. Okay. Well, is it like a? It sounds like a dialogue heavy game or something.
It's a visual novel kind of thing.
Yeah, like an Ace Attorney type thing. Gotcha.
Yeah. So what's great about this Odyssey is I've just been kind of like looking for games that still aren't like crazy hard, but have like a cool trophy list, or you can explore, or it's just kind of generally fun, but not like 75 hours and that kind of mad stuff. So I came across this and I was like, wait, this is free for me to play. So I was like, okay, cool. And it's like an anime pixel art kind of thing. And you're basically in a coffee shop, but you work as a barista. But it's like there's like orcs and elves and mermaids and zombies and all that kind of stuff. And basically it takes place there's like a pandemic. It was done in 2020, and the weird part about it was like it kind of predicts what happened in 2020, which is really weird
Oh, I
because
see. It predates all the stuff.
it
Okay.
predates
Right.
all the stuff, but it's basically based during there's like a pandemic happening in the world, and everyone was
Right.
talking about it. And it's just a fun little game. It's over the course of like 2 weeks, and like the different um mythical beasts, let's say, like, you have like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, I said mermaids, orcs, whatever. They all kind of have their own little life, and you're obviously serving them coffee. And like I've worked as a barista, so it's very like making coffee. You can do latte art and stuff. So it's just a really fun little game, and you can bang through it super quick, or you can actually enjoy it. The trophy playthrough actually encourage you to experiment a little bit more. And it's just a great little game. It really is a fun little game, and I didn't think I
Oh,
would
sorry, I
enjoy
don't
it.
mean to interrupt. Is this like what is there like a kind of is this like a locked narrative or is there like a random element to it?
So
Like
here,
I'm just,
so
I know it's a novel, but kind of what's the shape of it like?
so here's the interesting part, right? Based on how you interact with the customers, unlocks more. So if
Okay.
you listen to their order and like get their order right, they'll add you on like Facebook, and then you'll get to know more about their life, the other customers will interact with them, and then that makes the story unfold in
Kind of
different
a
ways.
branching path type thing. Okay.
Yeah, and like there are several different endings. There is like one true ending, which is you've got all the customers' order right, and
But there's a touch of a dating sim kind of element to it.
yeah,
Okay.
but it's not as like okay,
Just in the sense of the more you learn about the
so
characters, the more it fleshes out their story and that kind of stuff. Like,
so it's
not in
interest
the sense of like pick one.
so it's interesting about that in this trophy hunting crusade campaign that I'm on, right? There are actually there's quite a lot of visual novel dating sims. And the thing about those, you can pop those within 5 minutes, and the game basically plays themselves. And if you do a walkthrough, you can get it even quicker. So the comparison to them isn't exactly wrong, but this is a much better game.
Okay.
Like dating sims, you hit a button, whatever, you get some lewds, whatever, right? And look, some people love that, great, bash on. But with this, it's actually a game. It has the branching pack narrative. It has like the romance with the characters, but you're just a barista. You know, you're not trying to date anyone. You have obviously the main girl. she's kind of writing a novel, and she's just kind of, I think she is actually human, and she's just kind of like sitting there watching all this mad stuff happen, and just like she's your point of view of how everything's supposed to be. But
Yeah.
you're literally just a barista. You're not even really in the game, you know? And it's just a,
Sort of a passive presence, like, yeah.
yeah, like they get annoyed if you don't mix, if you give them the wrong coffee or whatever, you know? But it's just a really, really fun game, you know? And the thing about it is like the actual coffee itself or the drinks, the real life drinks from around the world. So you can actually learn how to make these drinks,
Hmm.
you know?
Okay.
And the conflicts, the conflict within the game, so the actual like, you know, little spats that they have, they're all very real. So it's surreal to like play this game where they're all fantasy characters, but they're all more real than like most video games. It's a very, very good game. And look, it's made in Unity. Unity has a lot of garbage associated with it for good reason. A lot of the games that ironically, you know, you can buy a platinum basically, they're all made with Unity. This really is worth people's time. Now, I haven't played the sequel. Their sequel came out about 3 years ago, but it is on the Switch. If you have a PlayStation and the PlayStation Network, it's free. So go and play it. It's a good time, and it's a nice little cozy game. And the thing about it is they do slurp the coffee, and that really starts grating on me after a while. So if that happens to you, you can turn that down so it doesn't make that noise. But that's my only warning.
Okay. All right. Well, I mean, as much as I'd love to hear more about it, we have 5 minutes left. I
Yes.
believe that you mentioned that you have some comments from our
Yes.
YouTube channel, I believe.
Yes, we
So
do.
we
We
are
do. We do.
now going to respond to comments not in the form of like typed out answers or emoji, but onto the air. So I sincerely hope that these are appropriate for 5 o'clock on a Saturday evening. So
So
go on, hit us with some highlights there.
So the good news is, yes, they are, right? Um, and look, one, I appreciate everybody that subscribes to us, everyone that leaves a comment, that likes videos. It's actually awesome. It's great to see. We're almost at 200 subscribers, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it really is because, I mean, everyone who subscribes like interacts with us, which is great. And if you're listening to this and you're like, I disagree fundamentally with everything you've said, well, look, you can go over and subscribe and leave a comment, and it's totally free.
I was firmly corrected on my Switch 2 feelings. Yes, we do feel the impact of the reactions.
So there's been a couple of like interesting comments that we've had on certain segments so far. So look, I'm going to start with the most recent work back, okay? And luckily, only one of these actually relates to me because I wasn't on the other two shows. So
Lovely.
you know, so here we go. All right. So from last week's show, Section 31 is the worst Star Trek thing ever made. Quote, this is from Sweepy Joe.
Okay.
I hate everything about modern Star Trek except the casting in the J.J. Abrams movies, which is pretty great. Discovery was just the worst, and this looks like everything I dislike distilled into a made-for-TV movie. Blah.
Could
Vomiting.
I respond to that then?
Yeah, I mean, like, look, genuinely, I agree with Sleepy Joe. I don't even like Trek, and I saw that and I was like, oh, that looks like everything that is bad with Star Trek.
Let me just say, I know because me and Kev, like, because we met in a real life, like outside of here. We're talking about this and about how like the YouTube channel, like Red Letter Media, that you and I like, Dara,
Yeah,
kind of lumped this in with all the Star Trek they don't like. And the sad thing about Section 31 is it validates the belief that all new Trek is bad.
but that's what it looks like, even
I
from the
don't
outside. That's what it looks
that,
like. Yeah.
but this is all the worst traits in one place. So I agree with the comment in some respects, but there is still good Trek out there. That's all I'd say.
No, that's fair. That's fair. I mean, once I saw that, I was like, that comment is unbelievably good. So fair play, Sweepy Joe. The next three
Okay.
are from What Wicked Does Well.
Okay.
Now, what's interesting is if I had been on this, we would have got a lot more comments that were very annoyed. So it's deeply ironic, though. It's deeply ironic and also fortunate that I wasn't on it. So look, we have the first one here from Mitra Music 5909. Quote, the second act of Wicked has fantastic songs. Thank goodness it's thank goodness is a banger of an opener. No Good Deed is a total bombshell. For Good will make everyone cry, and Wonderful explains the whole moral of the show. Plus
This is
there are two in the songs in the
the
second half.
fact that we said that all of the good songs in Wicked were front loaded in the first half, which is
Correct.
Okay, you know what? I'm willing to take that on. Yeah, I mean, I certainly want Wicked 2 to be good. Yeah, please go on, Dara.
So the next two are from Nick Dudesville, 5144. Quote, the books by L. Frank Baum are public domain. The 1939 MGM movie is not. Anyone can adapt the books, but nothing specifically made for the movie,
Yeah.
which is why the cowardly lion is on all fours instead of a biped, and the ruby slippers are silver, etc. So I think you guys actually said that.
That's yeah, we did kind of cover it. It's I mean, he is right because it's a complicated rights situation because stuff in The Wizard of Oz is copyrighted, irrespective of the fact that these characters appear in other books. But equally complicated is the fact that the Wicked book is like kind of I'm not sure how approved it is by the original foundation that owns it, and then Wicked the musical is a separate beast from the book, which is a separate beast from the Wizard of Oz kind of series, which is public domain, except for the Wizard of Oz. So it's a giant bag of upside down spiders. We probably got something wrong. So, but I will say it is complicated just to kind of dig ourselves out a bit in response to that comment.
And one more comment. I think you need more than 10 minutes to talk about what Wicked does well. Now, here's the thing. That's from Nick Studeville as well. It's so funny because if I had been on that show, I think you would have been very upset.
It's yeah, I mean, it's you are absolutely right. It would take the movie itself is 3 hours, and it would take like you could spend hours and hours. And I say this as someone who works in musical theater, will literally be casting a Wicked show tomorrow. I'm aware that there's a lot to deep dive in. But sometimes, when we do the show, we have just come out of a movie. We're sort of processing our
And
feelings.
also, Keen, as well, we're a radio show first, and we
Yeah,
have
yeah.
55 minutes.
Now,
So
now, what I
we,
would say is if there's a lot of demand for a deeper dive into Wicked, I would personally love to compare it to Wicked Part 2 as it is now, The Wizard of Oz, all that kind of stuff. So if that's what you want, throw it in the comments, and that's what we'll do.
absolutely could even do a panel.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
But the
I mean, I
final,
know inside and out now, thanks to all the theater kids I work with.
so the final one here is from actually an older video.
Mm,
Can we enjoy Joel Schumacher's take on Batman yet?
okay.
Which is going back a bit. It's from Brian Wilcox. He says, "I could never understand why Batman would want. Sorry, I could never understand why Batman would want to have long bat ears on his mask. It's a natural target for villains, and he can easily grab hold of them and cause Batman difficulty in a fight. You know what? That's genuinely fair. Actually, that's a great point. But I
Well, I
think,
mean, how's he going to be a bat without them?
well, yeah, the little small ears make way more sense.
Yeah, but then he might look like a pit bull or something.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't look as cool, but
Yeah.
well, I mean, you could,
I
you
mean,
could
I think there's bigger. I mean, you are correct, commenter, but there are also the fact that he cannot turn his head.
Well, no, the thing about it is, it's like I don't know why he just didn't use them to like stab him. Like little pointy.
But doesn't Watchmen the book go into this in
It
those
does,
like
yeah.
appendices in between the comic chapters
Yes,
where like he realized that like someone hooked the string of his mask on and nearly killed him. So like I mean there is an interesting point about like obviously there's no capes from the Incredibles and all
exactly.
that.
No capes.
So,
Like,
so it's an interesting point to consider how these things translate into a real space.
so look, I'll put it to you this way. Me and Stevie have actually talked about this before with fight choreography.
Mm,
When you're doing martial arts, when like anyone who's done martial arts will know that when you're wearing a gi or a dobuk, it's very different to when you're in shorts or whatever. They're very different things. Or even if you wear like karate bottoms and like an athletic shirt, you're able to move a lot better. Like it's it's like look and style and tradition over functionality. And I think when it comes to like superheroes, you kind of just have to go with it in certain ways. Where it's like, yeah, okay, fair enough. Batman, he dresses like a bat, but like the most realistic version of it, to use that word very loosely, is Christian Bale. And even that costume isn't very
that's
functional.
because they're kind of curved, aren't
Yeah,
they?
they're curved.
Yeah.
But then, like, I think the best Batman, like, realistically, if you really want to go with it, is Ben Affleck. He looks like he'd absolutely kill you. And he has
Yeah.
tiny little ears.
Yeah.
So
Also, just because you were talking, I wasn't planning to bring this up. My wife Stevie, who gave us the correct Rocky trivia there, is furious that at no point in the Fantastic Four trailer does Sue Storm have her hair tied up. It
yeah,
is
fair point.
becoming an increasing bugbear in movies in general. I still admire the fact that the Harley Quinn movie stopped a fight to hand out those hair ties at some point because, yeah, I can understand if you're like into martial arts, all these little things add up and break the immersion. Like,
Yeah, I mean, I have long hair obviously, and I've had my hair down. It's not fun. You have to tie that back.
yeah,
Yeah, because you can't see anything. So I'm with her on that.
yeah. I mean, look, watch Wicked. They do hair flicks. It hits you in the face, you know? Uh,
But look, thank you everybody who left us comments. If you want to respond to this or any comments in the or leave comments on any of your shows or clips that we have, because we don't just post a show, folks. We post clips from it. We post little shorts. Tons of ways to comment on whatever we're talking about, and we will read them out on the air. So thank you so much to everybody who left a comment. We will always read them out once they don't say anything really bad that we can't say on the radio, or there's no swearing because we're on the radio.
yeah. Now, unfortunately, we are 5 minutes over, so we will have to wrap because we are on the radio. You know,
Yes. Yes.
these things happen. But thank you very much, Julian. We will be back probably with a not Falcon and Winter, what's he called? Captain America Brave New World review. I can start to see what you mean about the title.
See? See what I mean?
But until next week, I've been Kian.
And there.
And keep those comments coming, and we will see you next time.
Bye, guys. Alright, so you're listening to the podcast, you're like, hey, I'm not in Ireland, how do I get in touch? Well, TuneIn has you covered. That's how you can check us out live when we're on the radio. You go to TuneIn and download the app, or you can check out the live streams on nerdtoknowmedia.com or Phoenix 92.5 FM. If you want to get in contact with us, it's very easy. Nerd to Know Media everywhere. Nerd to Know Media on Twitter, Nerd to Know Media Instagram, Nerd to Know Media on Twitch, Nerd to Know Media at gmail.com if you want to reach out via email. Hope to hear from you soon. Check out the Wrestling Rewind here on Phoenix 92.5 FM every Tuesday at 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. And of course over on nerdtoknowmedia.com, the only wrestling podcast by wrestling fans who don't hate wrestling. We'll see you then.
Thank you for listening to a Nerd to Know Media production.